Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks, where women share their dreams, struggles and successes, how they were able to persevere despite the fear and create the life they want and deserve. If you're looking for inspiration to move you past where you normally would stop, then this is the show for you. Here's your host, Melissa Banks.
Welcome to Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. I'm excited you could be with us today. I'm your host, Melissa Banks. Today we have an amazing woman to share her journey with us and how she was able to keep going despite the circumstances. Today our guest is author TIna Siemens. Welcome back to the show, TIna.
Melissa, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's truly an honor.
I'm so excited to talk with you again, TIna, and Happy New Year and happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you. It is. I used to always look at having my birthday in January was not a good thing, but the older I get, I just think, thank God for not only can I start the new calendar year, but also the new year in my personal life. So it's a blessing.
That is amazing. Tim, let's just get started. You know, I've heard you talk about everyone has a story, and I definitely agree with that. And the more I go through my own personal journey, the more I agree with that. But you shared your family story in your first book, Seminole, Some People Never Give Up. This is the story of perseverance, Bible, and faith, and it takes all of that. How did that experience of just sharing your journey and recounting those things help you or impact the amazing journey that you're on now?
Well, for me to have come from a background of not knowing a word in English, immigrating to a new country from old Mexico, Chihuahua, Mexico, to West Texas, as a 9-year-old, it had such a profound impact on just seeing and experiencing the new life and the new world. And it didn't come without some really, really difficult times. But looking back, all the experiences that this journey has allowed us to go through, I feel has shaped me and so many others that were in the same shoes at that time, to just look at life through a lens of this is something I have because ... So many things happened in the movement of my parents saying, we want to take this leap of faith and start this new journey. And for me to be able to have had the opportunity to come to America and to build what people would say the American dream has just been absolutely a wonderful journey. And it continues to give because we are continually evolving into what God created us to be.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I am a firm believer that everything that we go through, our entire journey, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the mediocre stuff, all of it, it takes it all to make us who we are. So I definitely agree with that. One of the things, though, that you do that I definitely admire is that you believe in giving back to the community. So you do that in various ways. You serve on boards and you do other things. And I read that you focus on building similarities instead of differences. So why is that important to you, not only to give back, but to focus on what we have alike than what we have different?
Well, this world can be very cruel sometimes. People allow themselves to be instruments of carrying jealousy or hate or just standoffish. But so often and all of us have experienced it at one point or other in our life. And so often those experiences have a very profound impact on our lives. And that was no different for us growing up in a world that was so extraordinary, different than what we had grown up, even though I was very young. But the culture and everything about this journey was just like the other side of the coin. And so for that reason, I think we did experience the differences, But then as I grew older, I realized that if we want to become a part of the American fabric, one thread at a time, meaning one job at a time or one experience at a time, it would take working together. And I'm so grateful that Chamber of Commerce was the first entity that I volunteered at. And that just was the springboard of me being able to experience what it takes to run a community. And there's a lot of behind the scenes, from the mayor to the commissioners and all the volunteers and the elected officials. It's just like a network of, I often look at it as a mechanism behind a clock. All these gears, they have to run exactly in the same coordinates for it to be able to work. And that's just when I realized I want to be a part of that. I want to make that difference that they had made in my family's life by accepting us as strangers in this land. So giving back was my ultimate goal for an appreciation of what they gave for us as new immigrants.
You know, I definitely agree with you. And also just in our own journey and in my journey specifically, which is why I'm so passionate about encouraging and inspiring others to do the best that they can, to move forward and to believe in themselves, is I believe that sometimes and oftentimes our differences are what brings us together. And just pushing someone and learning something about, even though they may be different, come from a different place, their journey looks different. Once we connect, and the goal is to make us all better, it's giving back and both of us grow. So I definitely agree with you there. So let's talk, TIna, about the second book, The Little Sandals That Could. And I was intrigued by this book because the migration story is your family story, and you're sharing it here, but you're sharing it from the perspective of the 8-year-old TIna. So what was that like to share it from that perspective, and why was that important?
Well, it was a very unique experience because often they say for new moms to literally a mom of a toddler, for her to literally crawl on the floor looking up at what are the dangers, what are the things that the toddler could pull down or get injured by. And that's kind of what the journey was like for in the Little Sandals That Could. It just gave a perspective of what I saw as a little girl coming to this new land. And there were so many exciting new things, but also my curiosity definitely helped that I was adventurous and I wasn't shy or holding back, but the adventures that you see as an 9-year-old little girl coming into a new world were just so many, and I wanted to share that, and the only thing that I could really bring with me was the clothes on my back and the little purple sandals. So for me to be able to walk into a new land with the only thing that I had physically was the clothes on my back, because as many of you have heard, it was a single cab pickup with 14 plus the driver, 14 human beings plus the driver with a camper shell on the back. So there was not a whole lot of room to take a lot of personal things, and a big part was leaving my only doll that I'd ever had behind. And so for me to come and have those sandals, that was such a special item in my life to be able to walk. And that has given me many lessons in life, because we often don't think of the shoes that somebody else walks. And until we have walked in their shoes, we really don't know how to respond. So being able to put myself in somebody else's shoes, as those sandals, they brought me to a new land, that is just something that benefits both the other person and myself.
Wow, that's amazing. So if you're just joining us, you're listening to Dream by Design with Melissa. We're speaking to author TIna Siemens today. TIna, I've heard you talk about how important it is to leave a legacy. Why do you feel it's important to leave a legacy?
Well, that is one of my biggest passions in life, is to connect the current generation to what has been, and then launch what is to come. And I think it's such a biblical perspective of what God told the children of Israel. When you walk by the wayside, talk to your children about how I brought you out of bondage and out of Egypt. And so for me to be able to know our past gives me the pleasure and the obligation to give that to the next generation, because if we don't know our past, we are doomed to repeat the same things over and over. Some are necessary and good, but then if we know of the pitfalls that were in our past, we can prevent them from happening again. So I think for me to leave a legacy is exactly that. Know your history so that you can live presently and make plans going forward with the knowledge that you have from looking back. So it's very important for me to be able to leave that legacy of sharing what I have learned, so that others can learn from it as well.
And I agree with you there, Tina, but also in our journey, oftentimes we are confused about why we think the way we think and why we make some of the choices that we make. And learning about our history and our journey helps us understand ourselves and why we do what we do, and then we can address those things. So I agree that knowing your history is definitely important. Now you have 2 books under your belt, Tina. Did you dream about being an author, or what has your writing journey been for you?
It didn't start that way. When I started, my main objective was to have an account written down for my children and my grandchildren, so that they would know their family history. But as I started to travel to gather the most accurate picture of what our family was, because it's been a journey from tracing back to the 1500s, from Poland to present-day Ukraine. It was South Russia at the time, and then from Russia, Ukraine to Canada to Old Mexico, and then finally to Texas. So my goal was to have a written account of that journey for my children, because I had gathered information like 20 years, books and stories, and so I wanted that to have on a piece of paper. And as I started writing, and it just evolved into a bigger story. And then one day I was encouraged by a local author, why don't you write your story? And that's when I started looking into it. Could it be possible for me to be an author? And as I looked into it, I just, now looking back, it's just been an amazing journey to have something published, not just for my family, but for the world to read. And I'm so grateful for both Seminoles, Some People Never Give Up, and The Little Sandals That Could, because that is truly my legacy that I want to leave for the next generation.
Wow, that's powerful. But, every journey has some challenges, and we talk a lot on this show about challenges and how we face those challenges. So what challenges in this journey, Tina, have you faced, and how have you been able to overcome them and just keep going?
One of the first challenges was language. We grew up just speaking the Low German, Plotich dialect of German in our family home, and so language was a huge barrier. But our very first job that we got here was either hoeing on the cotton field or cleaning houses. And the women and the farmers, they would be so kind as to give us sign language. Like, I remember one morning specifically, we had no idea what cleaning stuff was. And in our culture, it was soapy, dish soap and hot water. That was our cleaning. But when we came here to America, there was Windex, and there was the cleaning stuff for the bathrooms and cleaning stuff for the kitchen. We had no idea. So this lady literally took my mom by the hand, and she went and sprayed the Windex onto the window, and showed her, this is what you use for that. So that is how we learned. And then as you'll read in the story, my first experience in public school, my teacher, we did not understand the teacher. So she took me by the hand and took me to the back of the classroom where there's a hand washing sink, and she demonstrated, this is where you wash your hands. And another story was where the boys had teased me and kicked me at recess, and my teacher did not know how can I relate to Tina that this is not okay. So she called me into the hallway, which opened up a floodgate of tears, but in front of me stood those three boys that had made fun of me, and she swatted each one of them, just showing me that love is a language without words even. So that was one of the biggest challenges for us, is language. But I'm so grateful because not only did it give us wonderful experiences, but so many funny stories that we can tell as a family because of the language difference.
Wow, that is amazing examples of just dealing with a big challenge and keeping going and not stopping because of that. So, Tina, we're now in 2020. What's next for TIna Siemens?
Well, I am working on book number 3, and it is going to be a powerful book that will connect the Comanche Nation, the Comanche Indians, and my family history. And so working on that, and excited to launch that sometime early summer, late spring to early summer. So that is something that I'm working on, and we just moved to our farm, so having grandbabies during the Christmas holidays, it was just absolutely wonderful. Our oldest son lives half a mile to one side, and our youngest son half a mile to the other side. So we're all on the same farm, and the grandbabies just being able to come in, and I can either play a game or bake a batch of cookies, or just something that influenced the time spent with the grandchildren is just absolutely a gift that I'm so grateful for. And so that is something that I will continue doing, because I want to pour into them the importance of self-worth and looking at the challenges as they grow up, because I can relate to so many of them. And so that is 2 of my main objectives for 2023. And then there's other plans of opening up a Mennonite museum that is in the works. So yes, it's the year has started, and it's looking like it will be an absolutely wonderful year ahead.
It absolutely will be. Before we close out, though, Tina, I wanted to give you an opportunity to give a few final words to our listeners that will encourage them to keep going no matter the circumstances.
Well, I know that in our day and time that we live in right now, there's so many challenges that come across, from personal family issues or community or just our United States and in the world scene. So there is challenges and hard times, it seems like, on every corner. But in the midst of that, I always say, the darker it gets around us, if I let my light shine, the easier other people will see it. So my encouragement to each one of you is, find the light inside of you and shine bright, because a light on a lampstand is visible from afar off. So be the beacon in somebody else's life, even though you have hard times, but there's always something that you can be thankful for, and share that with somebody else to make their life a little better.
Wow, that's your light shine. That's an amazing last few words. Tina, this has been an amazing, inspirational conversation. Thank you again for joining us. Let our audience know how they can stay connected with you.
Well, first of all, again, thank you for having me. It's been an honor. And if they want to get in touch with me, it's through my website, Seminole the Book, and then also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Get in touch with me, and I'd be glad to have a conversation or just be an encouragement to you. So SeminoleTheBook@gmail.com. You can email me or get in contact with me via Facebook or any of the other media.
Well, thank you again to our guest, TIna Siemens, for being here today, and thank you to our audience for tuning in to today's edition of Dream by Design. I'm your host, Melissa Banks, saying all your dreams are possible. Believe in yourself, work hard, and don't quit. Until next time, thank you for choosing Dream by Design with Melissa Banks. Enjoy your day.